Now go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We will get started in a few minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We'll get started in a few minutes as folks are joining in. Thanks so much for joining our session. All right, I will go ahead and get started. My name is Isis Lopez, and I am the Engagement Manager for Development Services Department. I'm so excited to bring to you our what we call DSD Info Series. It's a series of virtual and in-person sessions that talk all about our services. Our different experts have information to share with you. And so today we're going to be talking about spring cleaning. Although it feels like summer in Austin, we have a lot of tips to give to you about spring cleaning, specifically property maintenance, and we also have folks here from Austin Resource Recovery as you are getting rid of your unwanted items with tips on what to do with them. We have a few experts in the room today. Here we have Division Manager Daniel Armstrong over at Code Compliance. We have Investigator Johnny Cerna also at Code Compliance, and we have our Marketing Supervisor from Austin Resource Recovery, Paul Beston. And again, I'm Isis Lopez, our engagement manager here to carry through this information with you. Before we get started with today's session, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the format of what to expect. We'll have a presentation by the folks I just introduced, followed by a question and answer session. If you have questions throughout this presentation, feel free to put it in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We'll also have an opportunity to raise your hand using the raise hand feature in Zoom. And I'll go ahead and alternate between the questions in the Q&A function and the raise hand function in Zoom. Make sure to put it in the Q&A function. That helps us keep track of which questions we've answered and which we have not. The chat is good too, but it helps us keep track of which ones have been answered. Let's see, what else? And then if you are having any technical troubles, feel free to message us in the chat and we will go ahead and get those addressed for you. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about what Development Services Department is, get you acclimated with who we are. Then we'll overview who the code compliance team is. And so Dan will talk about that. We'll talk about what common code violations are. So as you are cleaning your space and your home, what to watch out for. And then we have some time set aside to how to report a code violation in your neighborhood to make sure that your space and your surroundings in our neighborhood in Austin is safe and is clean. And then we have a special guest from Austin Resource Recovery talking about what to do with those unwanted items. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Dan to get us started. Dan?
Thank you, Isis. Again, everybody, good morning. My name is Daniel Armstrong. I am one of two division managers for field operations for the Development Services Department Code Compliance Division. I am the division manager for Field Operations North, and I also have oversight of the extended hours team. That's a team of employees, inspectors, who work until 8 p.m. into the evening. So Code Compliance Division wanted to extend hours, so a lot of people work throughout the day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We want to make sure that we can assist individuals after they get off work for the day, if that's convenient for them. So with that said, we want to discuss a little bit about Development Services Department, also known as DSD. So DSD is the City of Austin's governing agency that ensures the safety of Austin's built environment. We do this through a combination of review, permitting, inspection, and code compliant processes. We do this so that structures and land uses, we ensure that they are following, ensure as near as may be possible, that they're following local, state, and national codes and regulations. By this, we deliver on the promise, our promise to Austinites and visitors that together we're building a better and safer Austin. And this is done through the methodical system of processes and procedures in accordance with the standards found in the Texas Land Development Code, the codes of the City of Austin, and the International Code Council. Next slide, please. So what is code compliance? The DSD code compliance team ensures that city codes and ordinances within the scope of our enforcement arena are met so that Austin continues to be a safe and livable city. Generally speaking, code compliance enforces the International Property Maintenance Code, the City of Austin's adopted version of the Property Maintenance Code, and elements of the City of Austin's Land Development Code. Next slide. So it's fair to say that city code and ordinances regulate proper property upkeep, land use, and building conditions. So next, we're going to discuss some of the more common code violations we work with individuals to correct. Next slide. Some of the more common violations, code violations that we see now, I say common, I do not mean unimportant. These are all important to the health and safety of the community. But some of the more common violations are tall grass and weeds, trash and debris, and stagnant water. All of those violations are referenced in City of Austin Code 10.521, which is titled Duty to Maintain Property and Sanitary Condition. Further, we have substandard and dangerous structures along with infestations. Those violations are regulated by City of Austin Code 25.12.211, which is the International Property Maintenance Code, as well as 25.12.213, which are the local amendments to the Austin Property Maintenance Code. Carts on curb, those are regulated by the City of Austin Code Chapter 15.6, Austin Resource Recovery's Administrative Rules. And I think the code actually referenced Austin Resource Recovery in that chapter. I think it is still referenced as solid waste services. But in any event, if you look at Chapter 15.6 of the Code of the City of Austin, you will find information about carts at curb. Next slide. Okay, so tall grass and weeds. We talked about where it's located in the code. Tall grass and weeds more than 12 inches in height are considered an unsanitary condition. Overgrowth can lead to rodents very easily. Next slide. Trash and debris in unsanitary conditions. Excessive trash and debris should not collect in yards, driveways, or vacant lots. Further, a home's interior should also be free of infestations and excessive garbage. Next slide. So carts left at curb, these go for recycling carts, refuse, any carts that you have, your clippings cart. Carts must be returned to their storage area on private property by 10 p.m. on the designated collection day. They should be placed at the curb by 5:30 a.m. on collection day, but not prior to 8 p.m. the evening before. So next slide. Okay, with this, we are blessed today to have one of our busiest and most knowledgeable investigators within Austin Code with us. Investigator Johnny Cerna has a tremendous amount of technical experience, a tremendous amount of experience in the field. So I'm going to turn the next few slides over to Johnny so that he can discuss how to report a potential code violation and what the process is for an inspector when the inspector does receive a code complaint. So Johnny, I'll turn the floor over to you, sir.
Hey, everybody. Good morning, and thank you once again for joining us in this presentation and information. So there's various ways that citizens that have concerns with a property or particular situation within the city or in their neighborhood can potentially report their concerns. They could pick up the phone and dial 311 and talk to a person live and submit the information that way. Or you can also dial the 512-974-2000, which is another number which will lead you to 311 if for whatever reason you can't get through the 311. City of Austin, being a tech city, has also made a really nice nifty app for all the cell phone users. Go and download it from your Apple store or your Android store app. It's really easy to set up, and you can see, like Dan was saying earlier, they have a lot of the common deficiencies that are usually reported on the app. There doesn't mean that they're not important, but it's mainly what we get the majority of. And they also have an online service request that you can fill in. So there's various ways that you can reach out to try to report something that you feel should probably be looked at. Next slide. Here you can see where somebody had called in a concern that they had. You can look at the before picture, and that's unsanitary conditions. That type of situation. It breeds um, more unsanitary conditions. It can bring in mice, rodents, a vermin, and people see it also as a dumping ground, and they'll just come up and add to the pile. So in this instance, we reached out to the property owners and all interested parties, and we were able to get that cleaned up. So we send teams out, we identify whether or not there is a situation there, and we address, the situation so that minimum safety standards are met. Next slide. So when you guys call, depending on, it doesn't matter how you report it, 311 operators will submit a case, and then they will give you a service request number that gets that gets moved over to the code department computer, and then the computer will forward it to whatever district it needs to go to. So whatever location of the city you're reporting, they have their own inspectors that deal and are really familiar with their areas. 311 will also assign it a priority case. So if it's something that is considered a higher priority versus somebody not necessarily cutting their lawn, so they'll decide, and they'll give it a scale from 1 to 5. Next slide. This right here basically shows a path of resolution. So if you call and you complain about tall grass and weeds, for instance, right? A lot of the times, by the time code gets it, you really don't know whether or not your neighbor cut his grass. So you reported it today, and by the time the inspector gets it, maybe a day or two later, that guy's already cut his grass. So the inspector has to show up, and they have to verify whether or not there was a violation found. So if there was no violation found because they took care of the issue prior to us showing up, the inspector will close the case. But if they do determine that, hey, look, you know what, there is a situation here, they will take some pictures that are time stamped and dated. They will send out a notice of violation to the owner that's registered with the taxing agency. and they will give the needed time for that property owner to comply. If they do comply, the case gets closed up after a follow-up inspection. If not, depending on the type of property it is, if it's a commercial property such as the hotels, they might get their, or a multifamily, they might get their registration suspended or revoked. Um, the code officer can also give them a citation, which requires them to go before an administrative hearing judge and explain why they didn't take care of the issue in a timely manner. If it's a building that's in disrepair, the state gives a little bit more time for that. But if for whatever reason they're not compliant, then what will happen is the inspector has the option to move the case into the Building and Standards Commission, and or the municipal court, and eventually a district court. Next slide.
Johnny, that's it for code compliance. Thanks,
Okay.
Johnny, and thanks,
Awesome.
Dan.
No problem. Thanks,
Go
guys.
ahead. Dan, did you have
Just-
something you want to add? Yeah.
Well, real quick, Johnny, what is the typical compliance time frame for violations of duty to maintain property and sanitary condition?
So typically, the time frame to comply is 7 days. So the property owners have 7 days to go out and take care of this issue for unsanitary conditions. Now, they once they've complied, it doesn't mean that the notice is no longer in effect. So if that same property owner lets the tall grass and weeds, grow, or they don't keep their property maintained, let's say 3 months from now, the original notice of violation that was issued is still in effect for an entire year. So even though they complied, let's say 2-3 months ago, if for whatever reason the city of Austin receives another complaint, the code inspector can actually go straight to a citation right then and there for not maintaining the property in a sanitary condition. So it's 7 days. It's more than enough time. Sometimes people have issues, but we have people who are good neighbors. They'll reach out. They'll go knock. If it's an elderly person, that people reach out to churches. There's a lot of ways to be able to be active in your community and be a good neighbor towards people who might be finding themselves in a situation. It happens to all of us. It happens to me. I live in an HOA. My kids, obviously, didn't teach them well enough on how to use a lawnmower. Broke my lawnmower, so I had to borrow my neighbor's a couple times to avoid being dinged by my HOA. But I mean, it happens to everybody, so we're well aware of that.
In extreme circumstances, do we also extend, provide extensions for particular situations if somebody is genuinely wanting to be voluntary compliant but are having difficulty with that?
Yes, we do. I've seen situations where exactly the same thing I've just explained happened to a property owner. He was out there with his hedge trimmer trying to cut, his tall grass and weeds. And they asked for an extension, and we granted it to them. I mean, it happens. Life happens. Equipment
Sure.
breaks. So we do offer extensions. Inspectors can only grant one inspection. After that, the extensions have to be vetted through the supervisor and up. So we do work with people who are trying to come into voluntary compliance. We want people to comply. We're not trying out there to go out and ding somebody, but if people don't do what we're asking them to do, then that's where we will eventually move the case into some sort of enforcement.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your part of that presentation, Johnny. I appreciate you. And
No
Isis, I'll
problem.
turn it back over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dan, and thanks, Johnny, for your expertise. And what timely information, since it just rained. I'm sure the tall grass and weeds are so excited to grow in Austin. And so that was super helpful information on things to watch out for during the season. So now I'll turn it over to our friend Paul from Austin Resource Recovery. Paul, you want to talk to us about what Austin Resource Recovery and what y'all are doing?
I'm happy to. Thank you again for inviting us to join. So Austin Resource Recovery, we are a leader in the solid waste industry, and our mission is really to lead a global transformation of how traditionally waste has been managed and think about waste as a resource. So our goal is to keep as much of material out of the landfill as possible. And our zero waste goal is to reduce the amount of trash sent to landfills by 90% by 2040. And we have a long ways to go, but there's steps that everyone can take to help us move a little bit closer to zero waste. And next slide, please. So as I talked about our zero waste, there is a hierarchy on what is preferred as we're trying to move to a more zero waste society. And a lot of times people think of recycling or composting as the most, something that they can do, and that's completely correct. But there are several steps that you can take before we even get to that point. So obviously the most preferred is something a lot of us don't have control over, and that is manufacturers creating products that can be reused, recycled, that minimize the amount of waste that we're generating. A lot of us don't have control over that. However, we can choose what we purchase, and so we can support those businesses that are doing the right thing. We also can reduce what we're buying, making sure that, do I really need this? Is this something that I really can use, or is it just a want? It's okay to buy things that you want, but just trying to find ways to reduce what we're purchasing and reduce what's going to end up in the landfill. And then, of course, reusing, repairing, or donating items if you're no longer using them. Then we want to get to recycling and compost. And we want to do all those steps before we throw something in the landfill. And there's definitely material that needs to be landfilled. So if it does need to go to the landfill, that's where it needs to go. But there are several other options we can take before we go to that step. Next slide, please. And so we provide services that protect people and our planet. We are leaders in our industry across the country. People reach out to us, other communities, journalists, and students across the country want to learn how Austin operates and what Austin is doing to keep material out of the landfill. And you can move to the next slide. Our recycling, composting, and trash collection services are some of the best in the country. We have a very robust recycling program, and we're very fortunate in Central Texas that we have a very good recycling ecosystem here. We partner with recycling facilities where Austin Resource Recovery hauls the material that we collect from our customers to these private companies that then recycle the material, and then they sell that material to third-party manufacturers or businesses that then turn those materials into new products. We're very fortunate in Central Texas that there's a strong recycling ecosystem here. A lot of places in the country don't have that. And so you hear a lot of times about plastic not being recycled or about different materials just ending up in the landfill. Fortunately, in Central Texas, we don't have that issue. And so it's really important to know that when you put something in the recycling, if you're recycling properly, there's a really good chance that that material is going to be recycled and turned into something new. But it's important also to recycle properly. Composting is a newer service for our curbside customers. Composting is not available everywhere in the United States, and so we're very fortunate to have that program here. And you can compost food scraps, leftover foods, yard trimmings. Basically, if it grows, it goes in your composting cart. And then, of course, we provide weekly trash collection service as well. Next slide. Starting at the beginning of this year, we changed our bulk collection service to an on-demand collection service. Previously, our customers were sent a postcard twice a year, letting them know when their bulk collection was. But starting in 2025, we now provide on-demand service. So our customers can either use our app, call 311, or go online to schedule their appointment for bulk collection. They can schedule up to 3 appointments per year, and then it starts over the next calendar year. And so this really is a great opportunity for our customers to be able to schedule their collection when it's convenient for them. So maybe you need to do some spring cleaning now. Maybe you're bought a new refrigerator and the old one is no longer working. What do you do with that refrigerator? Well, before you'd have to hold on to that for months and months and months until we came and picked it up. Now you can go online, schedule your appointment, and then we'll come collect that as soon as there's an available appointment that you're able to get. Next slide, please. Our brush collections service was also changed to on-demand at the beginning of the year. So just like bulk collection, brush collection is now offered you can get up to 3 appointments every year. If the material is set out for brush and bulk has not changed, you can still, tree trunks that are 8 inches in diameter, they must be less than 3 feet, 3 feet tall. Branches and tree limbs between 5 and 15 feet in length can also be part of the brush collection. If you have brush that's smaller than 5 feet in length or yard trimmings, those can go with your curbside composting service that we pick up weekly. As part of that curbside composting program, you can set up to 15 additional items next to your composting cart. So if you have small branch piles, bags of leaves, those can all be part of your weekly curbside composting collection. Next slide, please. We also have started a new program, our household hazardous waste collection. And this was a pilot program for a couple of council districts for a few years, but we rolled this out citywide in January, where our curbside customers can now schedule up to 3 on-demand collections of household hazardous waste, where we will come to your home and collect this material. Previously, you needed to schedule an appointment for the Recycle and Reuse Drop-Off Center in order to recycle these materials, but now we're making it more convenient. The Recycle and Reuse Drop-Off Center is still available to all Austin and Travis County residents. Appointments are required at that facility, but you can still drop off material if you would like. But for our curbside customers, this is a much more convenient way to dispose of items like cooking oil and grease, light bulbs, batteries, any sort of chemicals or cleaning products that you have. Paint, if you have leftover paint, we can collect that through the household hazardous waste collection. It's very important that these materials are kept separate from your bulk and brush. So bulk and brush are really curbside services. We want those items to be set at the curb following our set out guidelines. But household hazardous waste cannot be set at the curb. It needs to be set in a protected area if possible, whether that's on your porch or next to your front door. If possible, try to keep it out of the sun, keep it out of the elements. I know not everybody has that luxury, so just try to find a safe, secure place near your front door where our crews can still be able to see it and access it, making sure that they're able to come up and grab it. But we want to make sure that it's not at the curb. Next slide, please. We do have another program that's not well known, our clothing and housewares collection program. This is a partnership that we have with Goodwill, where you can have Goodwill come to your house to collect clothing and houseware items that you would like to donate. This is a lot like our other on-demand programs. There's actually an unlimited amount of collections that you can have with this program. You can just go online to austintexas.gov/clothing to be able to schedule your appointment, and they will send you a reusable bag that you can put your stuff in, and then Goodwill will come pick it up from your house. This is a City of Austin service. We just contract with Goodwill. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned earlier, we have our Recycle and Reuse Drop-Off Center. It is available by appointment only, but it is available to all Austin and Travis County residents. Most items are free to drop off. The only items that there is a fee at this point is the tires. But you can drop off hard to recycle items, items like electronics, appliances, batteries, things like that. You can drop off household hazardous waste, including styrofoam, plastic bags, and cleaning products. You can also drop off clothing and housewares as well. So while we do have that curbside service, you can also take those materials to the Recycle and Reuse Drop-Off Center. And as the name says, it's a reuse center as well. So we do have items that you can come and pick up. So for all of the household hazardous waste, a lot of the cleaning products that we collect, so all of the paint that we collect is turned into new paint that you can come and get for free. It's available in 5-gallon buckets. It's called our Austin Reblend paint, and there's a couple of different colors. They're not too exciting, probably not thrilling colors, but it is free paint that you can come and collect. All of the cleaning products that we gather, so if there is household chemicals, primer, anything like that that's still in good using condition, we set that up in our reuse store, and you can come pick that up for free. And then, of course, mulch is also available for free. And so the mulch is it's turned into mulch from the large brush that we collect curbside as well. So we're able to keep that material out of the landfill and be able to put that back into the community. You do still need an appointment in order to pick up items from the drop-off center. Next slide, please. And we also have an app, the Austin Recycles app. You can download the app to check your schedule. So if you want to find out when your collection schedule is, if you want to know what items are recyclable or compostable, or how to properly dispose of an item, you can use our What Do I Do With tool. Just type in an item, and it'll let you know what stream that needs to go in. So whether that can be composted in your green cart, or whether you need to make an appointment at the Recycle and Reuse Drop-Off Center to properly dispose of that. You can also go on our website at austinrecycles.com to check out the My Schedule tool, which is our online schedule tool. And for the on-demand services, so bulk, brush, household hazardous waste, making an appointment at the Recycle and Reuse Drop-Off Center, you can do all of that through our app or through our website. Next slide, please. We do have other programs that we do in the community to be able to keep material out of the landfill. We have a very strong circular economy program that has a couple of different sub-programs, including the Austin Reuse Directory. So you can go to austinreusedirectory.com and find local businesses that can help you recycle, donate, fix items. We have our Move Out ATX program, which is a summer program at the end of July every single year, where we allow college students, especially in North and West Campus, to be able to drop off their gently used items to be reused in the community. And then as part of the Move Out ATX program, we have our free furniture market. So students bring their old furniture rather than just leaving that at the curb or throwing that in the trash. They can bring their furniture to our free furniture market, where we then provide that furniture for free back to the community. And both those programs are happening this year at the end of July, so July 26th through August 1st. And that's a great program. That's a way that Austin Resource Recovery in the city of Austin is keeping material out of the landfill. There's a lot of waste that happens during student move out because those students are just trying to get out as quickly as possible. So they're just leaving their items at the curb, which of course turns into illegal dumping and an eyesore, which of course gets code compliance involved. So this is an opportunity for us to get those materials out of the curb and get them reused in the community. And then we also have our Fix It Austin program with Fix It clinics, where we host monthly Fix It clinics or workshops where we teach members of the community how to fix the items that they have that are broken. So we just hosted a lamp repair workshop. We host sewing clinics, bike repair, and several other workshops throughout the year, just helping to encourage the community to fix their items rather than throw them away and buy new. Next slide, please. And if you're interested in helping to educate your family, neighbors, or friends, you can join our Zero Waste Block Leader program. It's a great way to get involved. It's a great way to learn more about how to recycle or compost properly and learn about all the other programs that we have. We also provide behind-the-scenes tours of our facilities, as well as the local recycling facilities that are privately owned. And so it's a great opportunity to get more involved, learn more about how you can help Austin become more zero waste community. Next slide. And you can get more information about all those services or programs by going to austinrecycles.com. If you do have any questions about your services, any concerns, you can contact us by calling 311 as well. And I believe that is the last slide for us.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Such such great programs that ARR has, that Austin Resource Recovery has, and such great information on what to do with the items as we're coming into cleaning things up and tidying things up, what to do with them. And then, it pairs so well with the information we got from our code compliance folks on what happens if they're left in the curb or if they're left out. All right, so now we have some time for questions. If we have questions for our team, if you have any questions about code compliance and the services that we have, feel free to raise your hand if you want to use the raise hand feature, or put it in the Q&A. And we have one of our attendees who asked the question. So I am going to go ahead and ask Grace Rivera. Thanks for joining us. What question do you have for our team?
Hi there. Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. So occasionally, I mean, it's a whole education process out here. We're in the Del Valley area, far, far east Austin. And so people will still put stuff out on the curb thinking that it's going to be picked up by the trash. And so I'm wondering, when I've called 311, I just want to have 311 come and get it. But apparently you cannot call for someone else who has put something on their curb. And I'm wondering, is that going to change or what?
Great question.
Yeah. So
Paul?
Unfortunately, every one of our customers needs to call to request the service for them. That way they're able to put their address in and be able to list the items that they need picked up. So for bulk collection, for example, when you create an appointment, you have to list the items that you need us to come and collect. The reason we ask this information is so that we can send out the right vehicles to pick up the materials. It's also important that people set out their items in the 3 piles. So the metals and hard plastics that can be recycled, the tires that can be recycled, and then everything else that is landfill trash. And then we have different vehicles that will come by and pick that up and then take those materials to either be recycled properly or take them to the landfill. And so by having each customer fill out their appointment or schedule an appointment for their home, it helps us to be able to track how many appointments every customer is scheduling. And it also allows us to be able to have the customers let us know what materials they're going to set at the curb. That way they can also get reminders. They have to put their, they can put their email address in there. That way they can get reminders and set out information as well. If a customer, if someone is setting materials at the curb without an appointment, that technically is a code violation. I mean, they're not following the city's process. And so if they don't have an appointment, our crews are prepared, if they notice that, to leave a hang tag at their house, letting them know that they don't have an appointment, that they need to call and schedule an appointment for us to be able to come pick up that material. If they don't call and schedule an appointment and that material is still at the curb after several days, then that would turn into a code violation that would need to be reported to 311.
And Johnny and Dan, what advice do you have in that case to Grace on how to approach that? Would she then have to have a different 311 call to report a code violation? And what would that process look like for her?
If I may, I'll take this one here,
Okay.
Daniel. Yeah, this is something, Grace, that we have seen out there as a code department. I think that it's going to take a little bit of time. I think a lot of neighborly information, if you can reach out to neighbors and let them know. Before, when we saw somebody putting out, the bulk items, we were all doing it. Because we figured it's about that time, the city's going to come around. But a lot of people aren't aware that the rules have changed. And as Paul said, it is a code violation for them to be putting their stuff out and not have it scheduled.
Why? I'm not interested in getting anybody in trouble. That is so not.
It's a
I
good
don't.
neighbor.
I don't want to be that person. I have
No.
never been that person. It'd be nice that because I'm actually a Zweeble, a zero waste block leader.
Oh.
So it would be great if I could just get some of those hang tags, so I could go, hey, here's some information for you.
Yeah.
That would be really nice.
You're a
Yeah.
great neighbor, Grace.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Sure
being
is.
a block leader, and that is a great idea. The hang tag that I was talking about is we created it for our operators, but that is a great idea
Yeah.
for us to
Yeah.
be able to utilize our block leaders, and
Oh,
thank you, Grace, for
yeah.
being here and helping us to promote the program. And of course, we don't ever expect our block leaders to do the job of, like, educating their neighbors by themselves. Just so we did send out a mailer to all of our customers. We've done a lot of ongoing education, but it's obviously a brand new service that takes a while for people to learn about, remember. So hopefully over the course of time, more and more customers will remember that they need to schedule their appointment.
Right.
But
Yeah, a lot of
yeah,
it
that's a great
too
idea, Grace.
is non-English speakers, and so that's sometimes difficult. And then we have a whole group of people who just really they don't use the internet. They don't get out. They're homebodies, kind of like me, So, but yes, that would be a great idea, Mr. Bestkin, I believe it is. Yeah, that'd be nice. I would love to help people out in that manner because, again, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I just want the neighborhood to, kind of stay nice. Thanks again.
Of course, and Grace, and thank you so much for your ideas and for your questions. I'll add to that code compliance. I think for the most part, we don't want to get people in trouble either. We do also have, as part of our under my unit, we have a social worker as well. And so if code compliance is aware of a code violation, and if there's potentially like a financial need, or maybe they have mobility issues, we can connect them we have a social worker in our team who can potentially help them figure out how to get resources and how to get them signed up for that bulk collections. And so we have great resources here also at Code Compliance with that social worker. He's been here for about a year, and we've seen a lot of great help with folks who may be in like hoarding situations. They provide counseling, they connect them to resources. And so that's a great resource as well that I wanted to plug in to make everyone aware that we have them. All right. Did you want to add anything, Johnny, to that?
Yeah, I work with the South team. We also try to assign inspectors who speak Spanish, or to those different areas, but we also don't want the garbage sitting out there, the set outs sitting there for the entire year. Again, it'll attract more dumping, or some sort of unsanitary conditions. So yeah, for sure. I think it is important to get out there. And then you can always reach out to your code inspector if you have that type of issue. We'll go over there. We try to be proactive and go knock prior to, and just letting people know, hey, it's not like it used to be. Um, I have to schedule it. And I said, like I was saying earlier, we do have a live portal that we access where we can see where people have scheduled or they haven't scheduled. But we're not in the area all the time, so we might not catch the improper setouts. But yeah, reaching out to the code officer, reaching out to Austin Resource Recovery. Hopefully we can get everybody on the same page here.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny, and thanks, Grace. You're a good neighbor. The world needs more
Yeah,
good
for
neighbors
sure.
doing good things out there. We have a question here in the Q&A function. I think it's for Paul. Our attendee asks, how long does it typically take to complete a scheduled pickup under the new bulk and brush services?
So when you go online or call in to schedule an appointment, the appointment availability will show up and let you know the next 3 available weeks that you can schedule your appointment. And if there is a high demand, the next available appointments could be, weeks or even a month out, just depending on the time of the year. I know recently we were booked out on some days up to a month in advance for the bulk and brush collections. There's high demand for the service, which is great news. It's showing us that it's really needed, it's really wanted. People are scheduling these appointments. So appointment availability will depend on demand. But once you have scheduled your appointment, you'll choose the day that you that you want that's available. And then we will come anytime during that day to collect the materials that you have notified us that you need us to collect. So if it's bulk collection and you've set out multiple items, you'll need to set those out in the different piles following our set out guidelines that are at austintexas.gov/on-demand. And then we'll have different vehicles throughout that day that will come by or throughout that day to come by and pick up the materials. So we have a different truck that picks up tires, a different truck that picks up appliances and other recyclable items, and a different truck that picks up the landfill trash, so things that actually have to go to the landfill. And so they'll come out throughout that day, starting at 5:36 in the morning throughout the day. And they should have all of the materials collected by 4 or 5 p.m. that day.
Okay, that's good information, Paul, especially the sorting and how that it makes sense when you have different trucks to have different sorting and why that's important. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
and I will add that customers have an option to cancel their appointment if they need to. They need to cancel the appointment the same way they scheduled it. So if they scheduled it on the app, they'll need to cancel it on the app. If they scheduled it on the website, they'll need to cancel it on the website. So there may be different availability. Someone cancels an appointment, then that appointment will open up. So if you're trying to get a sooner appointment, you can always check back and see if there is an appointment that comes available sooner. Just make sure you cancel a future one if you don't want to use that. As everyone will get, each customer will get 3 appointments per year per service. So you get 3 brush, 3 bulk, and 3 household hazardous waste every year.
It's awesome.
We still have time for more questions, so I'll go ahead and give some time for folks to either use the raise hand feature, or you can go ahead and write your question in the Q&A function. But as we do, I will go ahead and share these 2 surveys or these 2 websites. The first one lets us know how did we do. So you can use either the QR code or take a look at our cityofboston.formstack.com/forms engagement survey and form. Let us know how we did. And then also join us at our next session. We have a few other sessions lined up. They are available for you to register on publicinput.com/DSD info series. We have a few coming up in the month of June that we'll have experts from different departments. And in addition to development services, we have one in the month of June. June is our big tall grass and weeds month, and so we have one called Let It Grow but Not Too Much, where we have folks from not only code compliance but also our partners at Watershed Development to talk about native grasses and which ones are best, and then folks from our permitting department for what permitting you may need for different landscaping designs that you might want, and then folks from Austin Water to talk about water conservation. So tune in for that one. And I don't see any, let's see, will we get a copy of this webinar? Yes, so participants who signed up for the webinar will get a copy of the recording in addition with a summary of the Q&As of the questions that we had. We also post recordings and that website and publicinput.com/DSD info series. So if you missed some of our other ones, you can check them out there. We have one that talks about if you don't know anything about permitting, where do you even start? What do you permit? We introduce folks from the development process team who their main goal is to talk to homeowners and small businesses. And we also have a group called the Neighborhood Assistance Center who are there to talk about if you don't know what's going on in your neighborhood in terms of development, what's going on here that can help connect you to the right information. We have the recording available there. And then there was a new rules called Home, and that talks about where you can build, like if you want to build what was called an accessory dwelling unit or like a mother-in-law house, what you need to do and what you need to know to build that. So check those out. I don't see any other questions in the Q&A or any questions in our participants. Appreciate everybody's time for tuning in, and I appreciate our subject matter experts. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Dan, for your expertise and for letting us know as we head on to cleaning our space, what we can do with the items that we no longer want and what to watch out for. Any other things that y'all would like to add before we close this webinar?
I've gone out and used that the resource reuse. It's awesome. It is great. I encourage everybody to go take stuff that you don't use. Like I said, I've used it, and but make sure only to take what you need. Otherwise, you're going to end up storing the extra stuff in your garage, and it defeats the purpose. But yeah, the first time I went out there and saw it, man, I was excited. A shed full of stuff. I'm like, wow, this is really neat. And I even asked, how much does it cost? They're like, no, it's free for you to take. Just sign your name in,
Yeah.
and I was able to take a cleaner to clean out my driveway that my wife was on me about getting it cleaned up. So I was able to get some chemicals there and finally got it cleaned up. So thanks you guys everybody at Austin Resource
Such great resources to take advantage of. Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you at the next one. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, take care, everyone. Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank
Paul.
y'all.
Bye, ECs.
Have a great day.